Questions for oral answer. I have received a letter from Honourable David Parker seeking to debate under Standing Order 389 the recent declaration by the High Court that the Electoral Disqualification of Sentenced Prisoners Amendment Act 2010 is inconsistent with the Bill of Rights Act 1990. For there to be an urgent debate, there must be an administrative or ministerial responsibility for the cases of recent occurrence. The member in his application cites the judgment of the High Court issued on 24 July as the particular case of recent occurrence. An urgent debate is a way of holding the government accountable for an action for which it is responsible. There must be distinct governmental responsibility for the particular case which it is sought to debate. A decision of the High Court is not a matter for which any minister has responsibility. The application is therefore declined. I have also received a letter from the Right Honourable Winston Peters seeking to debate under Standing Order 389 the negotiation of the Trans-Pacific Partnership. For an urgent debate to be granted, there must be a particular case of recent occurrence. Negotiations on the Trans-Pacific Partnership have been continuing since at least 2010. An ongoing event is not of a particular case of recent occurrence. The application is therefore declined. I call on Government Order of the Day number 1.
New Zealand Flag Referendums Bill, second reading.
The Honourable Bill English.
Speaker, I move that the Flag Referendum Bill be now read a second time. Mr. Speaker. That's it. That's it. Tēnā koutou katoa, ngā mema o tēnei whare ara te Parramatta o Aotearoa. Tēnā tātou I tēnei wiki o te reo Māori, tākou inoi kia kaha tātou ki te kōrero Māori. Mr. Speaker, this bill ensures that the debate about the New Zealand flag is resolved through a formal, careful and respectful process where New Zealanders can have their say. I want to thank the Justice and Electoral Committee for its thorough consideration of the bill, and I want to thank those members of the public who made submissions. The committee received 259 submissions and one form submission representing almost 16,000 individuals. I would like to address the report of the Select Committee. The committee has not recommended major changes to the bill. The majority of the committee recommended agreement with the structure, procedures and requirements for the referendums, which are fundamentally sound and appropriate for the process. A number of submissions queried the structure of the referendums and the order of the questions. Many of these submissions supported the inclusion of a yes-no question about changing the flag in the first referendum. The committee considered this but recommended no change. That's because a majority of the committee saw the importance of voters being able to give full consideration to alternative flag designs before deciding whether to keep or change our flag. It's pretty logical. People can make an informed decision about whether to change the flag if they can see what the alternative is. I'd like to briefly touch on two amendments the committee has recommended. The committee's first recommendation is to exempt the second flag referendum from the requirement for a preliminary referendum roll. The purpose of a preliminary roll is to make an updated electoral roll available for public inspection. However, this will be done before the first referendum, so it's not necessary to require it again before the second one. The committee's second recommendation is to provide a regulated period for referendum advertising. Our members of the House will be familiar with the importance of the regulated period and in parliamentary elections the significant penalties for breaching its rules. The regulated period will ensure there is no parliamentary funding of referendum advertisements advocating that people vote one way or another during the regulated period. These are fairly technical amendments. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to take the opportunity to briefly mention the activities of the Independent Flag consideration panel. The panel's process was set up and has been separate from the bill. The panel plays a pretty important role in engaging New Zealanders on this issue and will oversee the process of choosing 4 alternative flag designs that will be put to voters in the first referendum. Online engagement with the public has been very high, with 850,000 visits to the flag website, somewhat more, I suspect, than to the Labor Party website during the same time. The panel has had a number of public workshops and distributed public information. These opportunities have been important for people who do not find the internet a comfortable environment. Public suggestions for alternative flag designs closed on the 16th of July. The flag panel has received 10,290 flag designs, which indicates some level of public interest. They are now considering those designs. The panel will report to me in late August with its 4 designs. Cabinet will then authorise the 4 designs to be added to the first referendum voting paper by order in Council, and that referendum will be held in November and in December. The preferred alternative design chosen will then be put against the current flag in the second binding referendum. The Electoral Commission will conduct these referendums and has robust systems in place, as one would expect. I'm grateful for the input of members for political parties and members of the public who have participated in the development of this bill. Mr. Speaker, there has been, and certainly in this House, some robust opinion about whether to change the flag and what kind of flag to change it to. But I can tell you 2 good reasons why, 2 of the main reasons I've heard, which are the wrong reasons. One is the opposition don't like John Key. That's the main reason they oppose the referendums. And the second reason is they want to change it, but they wish they'd had the courage themselves to put forward the proposition. And we know that because putting up referendum to change the flag is Labor Party policy. And the Labor Party have always prided themselves on being the owners of New Zealand. Its brand, its identity, its spirit and its principles. That may have been the case when Michael Joseph Savage was the Prime Minister, but in this intellectually bankrupt, unaspirational, modern Labor Party, they don't own any aspect of our national identity. And the National Party, of course, believe that the people own it. We are not a government who regards its job as promoting national identity. What would governments know that they could add? The people own it, and that is why the people should have a say about whether they want a new flag. And Mr. Speaker, there's a third reason that's a bad reason for opposing this bill, and it's the one that New Zealand First have picked, and that is they're simply against New Zealand being an open, forward-looking, progressive country. And they think New Zealanders are incapable of making a dangerous decision like whether to change a flag or not. In fact, so are the Labor Party now. I mean, what are the Labor Party going to say if New Zealand votes to change the flag? It will condemn them to even more irrelevance than the track that they are on. So, Mr. Speaker, I look forward to hearing in this debate a debate about the flag and about the process of picking it. I don't look forward to hearing the whinging, backward-looking complaints of the opposition who lack confidence in New Zealand and aspiration for New Zealanders.
Members, the question is that the motion be agreed to. Karanga Aho.